सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय, महायोगी स्वामी उमानंद सरस्वती की जय. Well, yes, we are back to the study of RIGVED, and today we are going to try and talk about RICHAS from 201 to 300. We continue with Medhatithi, the first sage. We talked about him last time, Medhatithi Kanva, and he is going to be now joined by Devrat. Now, this is a strange story about Devrat. It was said that a king had prayed to God and wanted to be blessed with a son. And of course he was granted the boon, but he happened to make an offering. He says, once I get it, then at a particular time of his life, say another year or 5 years or 10 years, I shall hand him over to God Varun. Now, it was, yes, God Varun. He got a very nice son, and the son grew up. Obviously, it's easier said than done. So, when it came to sacrificing the son, he couldn't do it. So he bought a child, another child, in exchange of certain number of cows to the poor. And he decided to sacrifice that boy, the borrowed boy, the adopted boy, and to God Varun. Varun, of course, is a god of rains, water. So the moment God Varun was going to come and capture the child, this boy who was adopted was an ardent devotee of Lord Vishnu. So Vishnu is said to have intervened and saved the child. Now this son, the saved child, was, his name was, what was his name? Shunashepa. His name was Shunashepa. These names are very strange. We don't normally have those now. And he was saved by God Vishnu. Later, this child was adopted by Vishwamitra. And he named him, Vishwamitra, sage Vishwamitra named Shunashepa Devrat. So we have two sages who have contributed to these 100 we are going to talk about. Medhatithi continues. We've already talked about Medhatithi, son of Kanvamuni. And now we have another one, adopted son of Vishwamitra. The first sage was Madhuchanda. He was the real son of Vishwamitra, the first sage we talked about. The second was Jeta. Jeta was the son of Madhuchanda. And now we have the adopted son of Vishwamitra. So why am I trying to tell you this? It tells us how an entire family of sages devoted themselves to these various, to this system. Now I was suddenly tempted that suppose we just divide our understanding into like 4 columns. 4 columns. Main subject is of course man. Then his requirements is the second column. His method used for getting those requirements is the third column, and the fourth column is the provider of that. So they are gods. So you have a mortal, his desires, the process he used to attain them, and the providers. So it becomes a little simplified. So I tried to make a small little, like a column. I tried to make a column. So first, who is the desire? Who is the main beneficiary? Man. Man is the beneficiary. He is going to benefit from all these things. All his desires are put together. What are the practices he used to get those desires? And finally, who were the providers? They were immortals. So we have mortal, his desire, his method of attaining, and the provider, immortal. So this becomes a little easy because we were introduced by Medhatithi Kanvar to immortal gods. And now we've also walked in with what are the prominent desires, the needs of man. So it's a blend of mortal, immortal. Now in these from 201 to 300. Now let us say what are the main needs of man. Main needs of man. They are still the same. Here they have said yes. Now they were in these 100 couplets, very beautifully it is put. The man asks for precious gems. He asked for precious gems. Now obviously we all of us love jewelry and gems and things. So man wanted precious gems. And what was the process he used? Yajna. He used the process of yajna. And who gave it? Who provided it? Obviously the gods, who were gods and goddesses were always wanting to give something. So these are providers. So they've given it to people, but who were of noble character. So performing yajna is an indication of trying to respect the norms which are laid, or the ethical norms which are laid. So it's a sort of righteous deeds, auspicious deeds performed. Auspicious deeds. So those who performed auspicious deeds, gods, the immortal world, provided them with precious gems. Not bad. We can have it also. Then man needed leaders. Now who came forth in form of leaders? There were two gods who came forth in form of leaders. One was Indra and second was Agni. The immortal gods were Indra and Agni. Now Indra brought them victory, and Agni transformed from a helpless situation to a... We talked about Agni, the virtues of Agni last time. It is transformation. So for transformation from to a prosperous situation, you need Indra and Agni. So they were brought together and they provided them victory and a changed life. Now these two gods gave them what is called as Purushartha. We have 4 objectives of mankind. In various recent texts, like even Bhagavad Gita, it is like they are called as Dharma, Artha, Kam and Moksha. Dharma is righteous ways, Artha is economic progress, Kam is all fulfilling all the desires, and Moksha is liberation. Now, these were the 4 things which are provided, and the same 4 things are talked about under different titles in Veda. They will call it light, they will call it energy, they will call it wealth, they will call it cows, they will call it knowledge, they will call it horses, whatever. What do they all indicate? They all indicate these 4 objectives of man. I want righteousness, I want wealth attained from righteousness. I want all my desires fulfilled out of righteousness. And I want liberation. So man wanted dharma, artha, kam and moksha. There are 4 objectives of man which are highlighted in Indian philosophy. And what were they? The same things are talked about and methods used. These are the objectives which are again traced in Ved. Ved doesn't speak of any other objectives except these 4. These are the main objectives of man. But they are titled under different words, like precious gems. Obviously it is artha, economy. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Moksha, liberation they wanted, knowledge they wanted. They wanted the desires fulfilled. They wanted the cattle, the crop, the energy, the light, the sunlight. All these are categorized into 4 objectives. Dharma, artha, kam and moksha. What were the methods used by them? One was yajna. Yajna was one of the... Yajna is supposed to be the square, the area which is turned into a small square in which fire is kindled. It actually is supposed to be a representative of the earth, the entire earth. This model you call it. The earth in a model form for yajna is just a square in which, of course, they changed the shapes as per the motives of the yajna. If they were wanting for victory, they had another shape designed for the Vedi. Vedi it is called, the area where the yajna is performed. If there was for childbirth or something, then the shape of the Vedi was changed. But the idea was to symbolize the earth. Earth indicates structuring, building up. So we are trying to symbolize it by Vedi, and the idea behind is let us build up. Now what do you want? What do you want to build up in your life? Prosperity. So suppose you want prosperity. That is what we are asking the earth, Mother Earth, to provide us. Now how will she provide? Provided you are willing to undergo a transformation. And that is that is symbolized by Agni, kindling of Agni. You have to transform yourself. If you want to attain something which you don't have, obviously you have to develop some virtues which you don't possess now. Suppose I want to attain moksha, then I have got to be good by nature, come what may. If suppose I am not very good, but I know I want moksha, then I need to become good. So this is transformation. So who helps the transformation? Agni helps. So you have the earth and the Agni. Now water which is used, it is a purifier. Water is supposed to be a healer. Water, the qualities of water is healing. Therefore, we in Indians, go and have a dip in a sea, in the ocean, in a sea, in water, in river, so that when you come out, and obviously you just get wet into the rains and you come out and you feel fresh. Water, you have a bath and you come out, you look fresh, you feel fresh. Everything in you rejuvenates. It just bounces back. So water is also one of the things which is yajna, it is there. Of course, then there are various ingredients which I use like ghee and all to add luster to the whole program. But basically these 5 elements. And then even the Marutgan, they are inviting gods of winds so that they come and they bless, they bring in freshness. Because it's going to create heat and all, so we need some fresh air around. So they are inviting Vayu, they are inviting the Marutgan. It's a system. What is it? It's a way of trying to attain or have their desires fulfilled. It is dharma. Dharma is the righteous way, auspicious way to earn artha, that is wealth. And it calm, because my desire is to earn wealth, that is my calm is to earn wealth. Then what am I doing? I am performing a yajna, an auspicious deed. And who is going to be invited to give me that? An immortal entity is going to come and provide me with that. So you get attached to the nature, to the world around, to the unseen world and the seen world. It is like getting attached to the seen, unseen world. Okay, there was another way of doing it, that is singing of hymns or chanting of mantras. That was another way of doing it. Now, one of them was this. A part of that was, now sometimes when we chant mantras, we necessarily don't ignite a kindle Agni. We just, of course, we light a lamp before the gods, but it is not done in the form of yajna. But it is called as Jnana Yajna, or it is called as Japa Yajna, or it is called as Mantra Yajna. That means we are offering mantra to get the blessings. We are offering Japa to get the blessings. So there is something offered against which you are expecting the immortal to give you something. The mortal is offering something. Now this goes far away. It goes even up to the breath, breathing in and breathing out. When you breathe in, you are taking something. So you have to give back something to the air, God of air. You are giving back the breath. Now when these two are supposed to merge, the incoming and outgoing, and that comes closer and closer and closer, obviously, logically, the mortal and immortal can unite. It's a very beautiful way. That's why you have to give something to get something. Don't just take anything from the nature or from the world or from gods or from anyone, your friends, your family members or your country. Also give something in return. Because that will become a healthy barter system. You give something and you take, it becomes a yajna. It becomes an auspicious deed. You offer kindness or you offer praise to the person who is willing to help you. Suppose there is somebody who is going to help you, at least turn back and say, you are so nice, you are so kind, you are helping me. So you at least praise is the minimum what you can do. A thanks, a courtesy. So there is a give and take. When there is a give and take, it becomes a form of yajna. So yajna is not necessarily just kindling of fire in a square little place. No, it's an exchange program. You offer something and whatever you get out of that, that you use. Whether it is you offer water to the plants and then the flowers which come, you can take them and put them in your head if you want. But you are offering something and receiving something. That is exactly what God expects from you. The immortal world is willing to give you. What are you supposed to give in return? A small courtesy and a commitment that whatever you get from them is used for a good cause. It's very essential that we all stay. We must realize being good is the only way we can save humanity. Being good is the only way you can save humanity. You cannot be anything other than good. There's no need for war and battles because man's intellect has evolved now. Earlier, when it was not evolved, maybe we thought of instant remedies. But now man has evolved. We have physical strength, we have mental strength, we have intellectual strength, plus we have a spiritual strength. So we need not use only physical strength. So that is why the emotional strength, the intellectual strength. What did the Rishi Munis do? They tried to pray. They felt this was another way of getting all this. This was another way of getting things what you need. So let's see. So this was one. One was yajna. Second was singing of hymns or praising. That was one. Third was giving something in return for what you are receiving. So these are some very simple and nice ways of receiving dharma, artha, kam and moksha. Today the objectives are the same. Earlier also the objectives were the same. Of course, you know where when you become greedy, you are only wanting it without giving something. So then that becomes a cause of war. When you are giving something without getting something, or you are getting something without offering something, that leads to a disturbed society. So the best way to do is yajna means, what are you giving me? Like we have money, we go to the stores, we pay the money and we get it. So this is done. So man also, now not only that, the yajnas were even performed even for the natural things like rains to occur. For showering also we needed yajna. Now again the yajna meant the same. Do something which is good for the country, or do something which is good, or sow the seeds, so the plants, the crop is cultivated. Sow it first and then take. Then the rains will come down and help you. The sun is supposed to help you in absorbing vapor and keeping the water safe in his own custody and then bringing down as showers. This is a very beautiful picture of how man can really, and all this sort of a behavior is required. Why? Not to live alone, but to get liberated later. So we are not only trying to live, we are not just eating to live, we are eating to live so that later when we come close to death, we also are able to choose between death and liberation. So we need to go towards liberation. Now let us see who are these immortal gods, what are they willing to give us. Now there are various, sun, the same sun, but he has different moments. He rises first he is just a glimpse, he doesn't come out yet, but the whitish aura comes before. That is given one name. Then when it becomes brighter, it's given another name. Then when it becomes more stronger, it is given another name. So the sun names are changed from one to the other. Now we have Savita's sun. It is supposed to be white light, pure white light. It doesn't seem to have rays. So these are, this is rayless sun, let's say. I hope I'm right about this now, but I'll confirm it later. But the Savita sun is the sun which has yet to start spreading rays. It's the earlier rise. It gives you knowledge of final destiny. Normally all these prayers and all, I told you last time, they get inspired when you are sitting in the morning time, Brahma Muhurta, for your prayers. So they are given jobs to inspire intellect. They are given jobs to give you knowledge. And of course the knowledge emerges, like water emerges in the well. The tanks are filled from outside, but well, it emerges from within. So you cannot question. Flower, fragrance emerges from within. You have not put scent or perfume on that. It just emerges. So we all know that there is something which is beyond seen, which is emerging. Similarly, knowledge is also emerging. Either it comes to you in form of intuition, or it comes to you in the form of inspiration, motivation. But that means there is some other force working along with it. And these forces are identified as nature. Like I told you, Usha helps you to frame mantras. Nisha helps you to frame poetry of love. Sun helps you to get up and work. So all these, the sun also makes you feel thirsty. I mean, all these are, there is some other force along with your physical force, your personal. So does it mean man is doing nothing? No, man is also working, but in hand with some other force. And that force belongs to the gods. So this is a combination. The gods are using the nature and helping man to live. And why do we respect gods? Because they are powerful, but they are not evil. There are powerful people who can become evil. They are called asurs. They are demons. Now they don't want our welfare. They want their own welfare, but gods want our welfare. That's why we worship them. Somebody who wants to help you, obviously we want to thank them. But somebody who wants to hurt you, we are not going to look upon them as our friends. So here we have Savita's son gives knowledge, Aditi's son gives power. So Aditya, so he is a little more powerful, that means more radiant, more stronger, he is now out with his heat. So he gives you power. Then they ask the earth, what does she give you? So she gives you land. She gives you land to live. Now, there is very beautiful part in this, that is VAMAN SUKTA. It is between this 200 to 300. There are about only 6 couplets. And VAMAN Sutra, VAMAN is absolutely one of the manifestations of Lord Narayana. The story is very interesting. We'll just go with it right now. As I said, let us not judge whether the books are religious or not religious or anything. Let us just know what Ved have. And let us come to a conclusion after we complete 20,000 couplets. So till then, let us just go. We are just touching 200 to 300 couplets. So Vaman Sukta comes in that. And Vaman Sukta, it talks about Narayana, Lord Narayan, the final supreme truth, coming down in the form of Vaman avatar. He was son of Aditi, one of the 12 sons of Aditi. Vaman was one of them. Now Vaman came into form because Indra, the god of the planets, was defeated by another very powerful Asur. We won't call him Asur right now, but his motives were capturing away what belonged to the gods, and he wanted to be the ruler of the entire world. Now his name was Bali. Now when Bali wanted to what do you think? His master, his guru was Shukracharya. Like we have Vasishtha, Vishwamitra, but all of them were supporting good cause. Whereas Shukracharya was on the sides of Asurs. He was on the side of Asurs, and he said, all right, now I will tell you how to attain. Again, he gave the same yajna as a process. Doctors use the same scalpel and whatever to cut and operate. And the thieves also come with the same sharp weapons. So the weapon is not changed. Motive is the changing factor. So the motive of Shukracharya was to help an Asur to become more powerful than the gods. Of course, there's no harm in somebody becoming more powerful than gods, but if they are of causing harm to mankind, then obviously there will be a disturbance in the man's world, in the mortal world. We want somebody powerful, but we want somebody to protect the interest of mortal world. Instead of destroying the mortal world, we want some protector of the mortal world. So now when Bali he started gaining powers. He started getting powers, and the gods are also bound by prayers. So if you pray, God has to give you a boon. If you pray to God, a God is designed that he gives you a boon. So these all, when they started performing yajna, Bali under the guidance of Shukracharya, the power started coming to him. And he defeated Indra. Now Indra was supposed to be a god of the god of the planets. And if he was, obviously if he was defeated, he had to run to his friend called Vishnu. Vishnu was his friend. He is the ultimate supreme. So Vishnu manifested as Vaman. And Vaman came to one of the yajnas of Bali. He walked into as a little Brahmin boy. Now, as I told you, gods are using brains, along with good motives. That's why we call them gods. If they had evil intentions, we will call them Asur, demonic. So he came in, and what do you think he asked for? Because Bali was a man, though he had his own weaknesses, he was a man who was giving things in charity, and he stood to his word. If he decided, he promised to give something, he saw that he gave. Now this weakness was known to, it was called a quality or weakness, but God used this. He went to Bali and he says, I have come here to ask for some help. Bali was performing a yajna, and Shukracharya was there. So Shukracharya said, don't get up. This is your final prayer. You are offering your oblations. You are not supposed to get up. But he disobeys the Guru. After the repercussions, that is what is used by Vishnu. The disobeying of Guru was used by Vishnu so that he could be punished for something. It's a very, all this is, you have to just read between lines. You either read it as a story, or you read it as logic, or you read it as one of the ways of appeasing gods and getting things, whatever you call it. It is up to you. So he says that I want nothing, I don't want wealth, I just want lands which I cover by my 3 steps. 3 steps of land. Steps. 1 step I took, second, right, left and right. Only 3 steps. Of course, Bali said, my God, basically you are a very dwarfish looking person. Vaman was like a dwarf. He said, basically you are like a dwarf and you have asked for only 3 steps of land. I'm the king, I'm the Lord of the entire universe. You could have asked for more. He said, no, this is enough for me. And of course, the moment Bali promised, Lord started growing in size. He came to his original form. These are the romantic moments of spiritual world. If you believe in them, what's going to happen? See, look at me. I'm shy. I'm sort of smiling. I'm enjoying. I'm receptive. So there are changes coming in me because I'm believing it in faith. And then he started growing, and he grew so large that he almost covered the universe. And he raised his first step. He said, I have occupied your earth. Imagine how magnificent all this had it been. I mean, right now we feel we have our doubts. But let us say if it is true. Can you imagine the magnanimity of God? This is first step. I have covered the earth. The second step, the entire heaven. That's why I told you, we devotees should try to only find 2 worlds, earth and heaven. That occupied by mortal and heaven occupied by immortal. Let the other planets be discovered by the scientists. Let's not worry about them right now. So, earth and heaven. So he occupied the heaven. He said, now my 3rd step, where do I put it? So Bali, of course, he was also a devotee, ardent devotee. He is supposed to be a grandson of Prahlad. Another Asur, but who was a very great devotee of Vishnu. They are interesting stories. Interesting stories. And therefore, when he just happened to say 3rd step, he says, you are the Lord of the universe. You can put your 3rd step upon my head because that's all I have. That is Jeev, Jagat and Jagadishwar. All 3. Jeev is myself. Bali was a Jeev. He says, put your leg on my head. And of course, because of that, Lord also honored him. It's not that he kicked him. No, he honored him. He says, you will rule the patar, the lok, the region under the earth. That is yours, he says, don't worry. Now there are other interpretations. Some say in these 3 steps, he asked the freedom of educationists, Kshatriya Dharma, the Kshatriyas and the traders. That was what some people interpret. It is up to us. As I told you, you can read any meaning. It's a mythological story. It just makes you feel grand. And if you have faith, then your entire mind, body, intellect and spirituality, it just blossoms up. And that is how you become spiritually developed. The faith is for you to develop spiritually. It is not, it has, don't worry about right or wrong. Now suppose you take a sweet dish, what happens to you? You enjoy the day. And in that entire day when you are happy, what do? Mama, you want me to help you? Dad, you want me to do this for you? Oh, my friends, let's go and have some fun. What are you doing? You are passing on happiness. Similarly, when you are in faith, you blossom with happiness, and then you are a better media for others around you. So it's a very nice way, faith. So the third step, and this is how story goes. So this Vaman Sukta is traced in this. That Vaman avatar is praised in these 6. There are only 6 verses. Probably those who want lands, those who want to buy lands. Those 6 sutras, I'm going to derive all these Vedic mantras. I've got a very nice Vedic mantra for wealth. I'll share it with you all later. Let's not go now into it. But then you have Aditi, the earth. Then there was another god, Pushan. Again, he is one form of sun only at a different time of rising. So Pushan is supposed to be another god who leads you to liberation and who also gets you your marriage partners. Very interesting. Very interesting. Why not? Why not? We should know. Then there is another. They are Gandharvas. Gandharvas, they are giving intelligence to these artists and scholars. They have their own world. Now you see all these artists up to 80 even. I mean, I would like to mention this Amitabh Bachchan. Look at he's nearing 80, and he still has the power over the audience. Now, where does it come from? Where does it come from? The book that I am translating, RIGVED, it is translated from Sanskrit to Marathi by Bhimrao Kulkarni, a very revered saint, and he is now 100 years. Where does this energy come from? His writing defeats everybody's writing. It's so beautiful. Now, how does it come? These are Gandharvas who are helping. There has to be some force. As I told you, Usha inspires mantra, night, Nisha inspires poetry, sun inspires work. Like that, Gandharvas inspire the scholars. There has to be a physical projection, has to have a force behind. It's logic. It's logic. Unless you don't have hunger, will you eat? No. So that hunger is a sort of a state, a force, a background, and then you eat. Then you eat. If there is some need of an action, then you act. So is that action without a need? No. So that need is a force. So all of us, there is a canvas there. Because there is a hunger, there is a thirst, I am eating and drinking. And because I need to eat and drink, I am working to earn so that I can have the crop. So you see, there is a basic need which is created, and this need is the fabric which God uses it for us. God is using it for us. He wants us to use this. Now Gandharva is supposed to provide intelligence. Then Vayu is supposed to influence your speech. As I said again, when you are in waters, when you are enjoying the rains, there are many young couples who enjoy rain. At our age, we are scared of getting catching cold. But there are youngsters, children, they love to run in waters. There is a very beautiful example given. I was surprised. In Vasishtha, I am translating the 7th chapter now. And Vasishtha, sage Vasishtha, talks about frog. F-R-O-G, frog, Manduk. He says, you can hear his croaking when it is rainy season. From one rainy season to the other rainy season, he maintains silence. We call it maun.